Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to the channel. It's Cynicalex, and we have the third sneak peek for the upcoming X-Men update. And it could possibly be one of the greatest sneak peeks I've ever seen, because not only does it combine the joy and beauty and amazingness of the Danger Room, and it kind of floods my mind with infinite permutating possibilities for what this Danger Room could be interpreted as in Marvel Future Fight, but it also contains some other interesting tidbits. So this is the sneak peek itself. It's a 6-second video clip. It's got a lot of really great visuals. I love a lot of the nods to like the original X-Men movies back in the day, and then, I mean, they're not nods, but it just gives me that flavor, that feeling of the original X-Men movies with, you know, the OG Mr. Professor X, Mr. Professor X, whatever his name is, Patrick Stewart, and it also has some pretty cool little tidbits hidden inside. So first, let's talk about what we actually know from the sneak peek, because we know very little. It says here, initiating training simulation, which is obviously very indicative, very reminiscent of the Danger Room if we slow it down and we go frame by frame. And by the way, on a keyboard on YouTube, you can go frame by frame using the comma and period keys next to the M key and the question mark key. So I never knew that until actually not that long ago. So over there, data encrypted in case of danger, you can see it says 1MM1 FR1ST. Now, if you swap the ones for E's and A's and O's, you have Emma Frost. So they just took Emma Frost's name and they replaced all of the vowels with ones. Otherwise, it's binary if you take all the letters out. And so that means Emma Frost. What does that mean for Emma Frost? We don't exactly know. If you further tab forward, you can see here that we have C1L1SS1S. If you replace the ones with O's and a U, you have Colossus. So you have Emma Frost and you have Colossus. They're both X-Men. You know, there's not too many things that they have in common, but then there's a lot of things that they have in common. There's some obvious things that they have in common, but I think the most important thing that they have in common, especially when it comes to Quentin Quire, especially when it comes to Rachel Summers, and especially when it comes to that first part of the second sneak peek where we saw them kind of bathed in flames and sort of hosts of the Phoenix, or the Phoenix Force, is the Phoenix 5. And the Phoenix 5 is what a lot of people were speculating on as soon as we got Namor. They're like, well, now we have everyone ready for the Phoenix 5 update. Now, I'm not saying this is a Phoenix 5 update. This could be part of a Phoenix 5 update, but the weird thing is that two of the characters out of the 5 desperately need uniforms and reworks. The other 2 are Colossus and Emma Frost, and then the 5th one was just recently introduced. So I think it is quite awkward to do all 5 in one shot, and it's also awkward to split them up. But anyways, really quickly, just to give you guys a catch up here, the Phoenix 5 are 5 members of the X-Men. You've got Colossus and his sister Magic, you've got Emma Frost, you've got Cyclops, and then you've got, who's the 5th member? Namor. And those 5 were basically chosen as hosts of the Phoenix Force after Iron Man tried to destroy it. He basically fragmented it into 5 bits, and they found 5 hosts, and those 5 hosts were Namor, Emma Frost, Cyclops, Colossus, and Magic, and then they became like super, uber, ultimate, powerful level characters. Like, they do some pretty wild shit, and they're really, really strong, and initially they're good guys, but they end up kind of being bad guys in a way. But I mean, like, Emma Frost and Cyclops, I believe, take on most of the Avengers and clap their cheeks really hard, just randomly, because they tried to infiltrate the sort of space. That wasn't space. It was like, anyways, it was like a floating fortress that the Phoenix 5 had created. But anyways, they're super powerful, and having them in the game would mean like a massive spike in power level for all of those characters. But we already have one, Namor, who's extremely powerful, so to give him a uniform in the very next update is kind of a bit too much of a cash grab in my opinion. But then on the other hand, Cyclops and Magic desperately need uniforms in level 70, so it would be a perfect time to give them the uniforms. And then I don't really know what else I can interpret from Colossus and Emma Frost being here, because Emma Frost got a uniform not that long ago, so she doesn't need another one. Colossus could use another uniform because he's not that good, but he doesn't necessarily need one. Magic's never gotten one, and her brother's going to get 2. It's kind of awkward. But there's also the possibility, it's very, very small, but there is a possibility that because both of these words, Emma Frost and Colossus, have 3 ones, the number 1 is repeated 3 times, some people are going to speculate that this means tier 3. However, I do want to remind you guys, the Mysterio mistake. I made the Mysterio mistake, other people made the Mysterio mistake. Netmarble is very obvious. A tier 3 on a boat with a light shining on it, obvious when it comes to tier 3ing sneak peeks. So I don't think this means we're going to get a double tier 3. However, if we were getting a double tier 3, this wouldn't be the first or the second time. The first time we got a double tier 3 was the very next update after the very first tier 3 update. The first tier 3 update, Infinity War, April 2018, we got Captain America. The very next update, we got Iron Man and his kid prodigy, Spider-Man, getting their tier 3s. Later on in the year, at the end of 2018, we got Sharon Rogers in the last update of the year, and then 2 weeks later or something like that, 2.5 weeks later, we got Luna Snow. But otherwise, all the other updates have only ever had one tier 3. So I am very hesitant to say that this means Emma Frost and Colossus tier 3. I'm much more heavily leaning towards new uniforms for these characters, and then possibly the introduction of the Phoenix 5 and the Phoenix Force. Whether that means, like, you know, you could go crazy and say we're going to get uniforms for Quentin, we're going to get uniforms for Rachel, plus all 5 of the Phoenix Force, Phoenix 5 members from the Phoenix Force. That is kind of too much. I think, you know, introducing new characters and giving them uniforms is really more of an MCU thing. I don't want Netmarble to start doing that with new updates unless they're MCU characters, because I just don't like it. It makes sense because, you know, you have a character like Minerva who has a history in the comics, so if players want to play the original Dr. Minerva, they can play her. If they want to play the MCU version, played by Gemma Chan, they can. They have that choice. I like that. You got the OG Nick Fury, but then you've got the MCU movie Nick Fury if you're more of a casual fan and you want that look. But doing it for things outside of the MCU, I think, is too much, and I think a lot of players dislike day 1 uniforms because they're basically insta-buys for the most part. I mean, not always. Nick Fury is not really an insta-buy at all because his uniform doesn't add very much to his play style or his build at all. But in the case of Minerva, it does add quite a bit to her kit, although she's still very strong without it. The only frustration that players have, and it's rightfully so, is when the character is bad without the uniform, like day 1 Killmonger. That was an absolute joke. We do not want to see more of that, especially considering, you know, it's a double punch. He's also a paywall. So that is what we can actually figure out, what we can surmise from this sneak peek, in addition to what we know of the Phoenix Force and the Phoenix 5, which have already been heavily hinted at, not only through these 2 characters who are direct members, but also from the first sneak peek, the first part of the second sneak peek with Quentin and Rachel. Those were their Phoenix host forms. However, there's more. If we go ahead and we look at what's being posted on the Netmarble and Twitter posts here, on Netmarble we have CM Fragment talking about an extraordinary world, one of the most impressive places they ever stepped foot in. They're talking about the Xavier Academy, and it was not easy gaining access to this restricted area even for me. So they're obviously talking about the Danger Room. I believe, so here's the important part, I believe this place will be useful for agents in the future. That is a pretty bold statement to make for a sneak peek. Additionally, and this shows how much the community is craving new content, new game modes, people were translating the Naver post in Korean, and it said something along the lines of, this will be an important place for agents in the future. So rather than it believing to be a useful for the agents, they're saying that it will be important for agents in the future. So that's pretty big. What do the characters appearing on the screen mean? We've kind of decoded Emma Frost and Colossus, whether it's tier 3, whether it's uniforms, whether it's something else, we don't know. I'll be back with more information once I get some. Over on Twitter, we have looking for a new place to hone your skills. In the V540 update, a new training facility will open its doors to any uncanny challengers. And then Danny Koo said, ooh, another coded sneak peek for upcoming new content. Love you, Danny Koo. Had to give you a bit of a shout out here. Let me scroll this down. That's the wrong one. I'm scrolling the wrong thing down. This is very disappointing. Let me just get the right one here, and we're going to scroll this down so we can actually see Danny's image with his profile picture. But anyways, going back to what they said here, looking for a new place to hone your skills. And then it says, you know, this is going to be a useful place for agents in the future. This sounds like not only is it a new game mode, but it's going to be a new game mode where we're either gaining something that's important or we are doing something important for our characters. So it's going to be very interesting to see exactly what is going on. On the one hand, you could have a game mode, you know, the danger room. I don't know necessarily the content of what it would be and what you would do in it, but if it's something that is going to hone your skills, and if it's something that's going to be useful, then it can't just be a skill preview. And that's what I think a lot of people are going to gravitate towards, that the danger room is just going to be an upgrade of the skill preview, because that's what we've been saying for a long time, that Netmarble needs to upgrade the skill preview. It's not helpful. It doesn't give you damage numbers. It just gives you the number of hits. We need to have more flexibility and more utility for this room, and this, you know, it's much better and it makes much more sense if it's the danger room. However, you could technically hone your skills here if the enemies could hurt you and actually do damage, and if you had a health bar, but I don't believe that it would be a useful place or an important place for agents. It's just kind of a wardrobe sort of change room type thing, and it gives you a small peek into what a character can do, but World Event is much more helpful for actually seeing what characters are made of and playing with character builds that you might not necessarily have. You know, you don't have a CTP of Rage on Iron Man, but you can play Iron Man with a CTP of Rage here, or you can play a Spider-Man Tier 3 with a CTP of Authority. I don't have a CTP of Authority on my Spider-Man, and I don't even have Spider-Man Tier 3. So World Event is very exciting. So I don't necessarily think that they're going to do something that's too closely related to World Event, because that would rip off World Event, and it would be kind of too repetitive and too, you know, just repetitive, redundant. And World Event was introduced recently, but it is something that's going to hone our skills, so it can't just be skill preview, in my opinion, you know, judging, kind of analyzing what they've said. So on the one hand, it could be something like the agent system, where you play some sort of mode, you do something in the danger room of some sort. I don't know what it is you do, but you do something, and then it will give you XP towards some sort of level or leveling system, and then you can use those points towards some sort of bonus, whether it's a bonus for a specific character or whether it's a bonus for your entire account, like the agent level, like your cards. We have yet to see, but that would be kind of the level of usefulness that I expect them to mean when they're talking about something that will be useful for agents in the future. Your cards are always useful. That's why you can say that cards will be useful for you in the future. The agent level bonus is useful now, and it's also useful in the future as well, and I believe they used similar language, although I can't remember exactly. I do believe they used similar language when they introduced World Event as well, saying that it was something that the agents were going to have to come together and complete, and that it was going to, you know, help people's progress and things like that. So we're going to have to wait and see, but it does have a lot of potential to be amazing. Additionally, they could introduce something new, like, for example, type enhancement, but rather than having it as something, a resource that drops from this game mode that you use to upgrade your characters, it could just be something that is tracked from within the game mode itself. So imagine that type enhancement, rather than being these kits that you get from GBR or you gamble for and then you use them to enhance the character, what if it was just like a potential bar that you have on getting a character from level 60 to being able to unlock them and improve them to 70, but rather than it being that, it was something else. Like, let's say it was type enhancement, it was these buffs, these increased damage to combat, blast, and speed, but it started at level 0. So level 0 gives you no bonus, right? So you have a character here that's level 0. Well, I'm gonna have to find one. I'm gonna have to scroll through here. Level 0. And then if I go and I take Magneto into the danger room and I play with him and I gain enough XP, it levels up to level 1. I was hoping that one of the characters next to him would be level 1, but whatever. It levels up to level 1, and now it gives him a 10% boost to whatever stat or whatever thing. And then you play with him again, goes to level 2, goes to level 3, etc. That could be another way of expressing it that would still be useful for agents in the future, but it would be expressed on a character-to-character basis rather than being something that's globally applicable like the agent bonus and like your card bonus. Lastly, again, I don't want to speculate too much because I don't personally know what is going to happen. I so wish that I did, because I love the idea of the danger room. I do want to just quickly put this back up on the screen and talk briefly about the layout and how it pertains to some other content in another Marvel game. So you can see here this room schematic. This was, again, this is a sneak peek that was created. This was, you know, digitally created by someone working for Netmarble, for the Marvel Future Fight team. and they were pretty specific about what they built. Now, I don't know if this is going or being taken from any comic. It doesn't ring a bell for me, but you see it says ready room, so there are 2 ready rooms. One of them is self-enclosed, one of them has a little pipe here, and again, they wouldn't just randomly create this. They would do it with some sort of, I imagine that they would do it with some sort of purpose. And then it says here, Combat Operations Center. So whatever, the Combat Operations Center is not that important. But the fact that you have 2 ready rooms that both lead to the center arena, which is the danger room, to me, it either indicates, and if I were to guess, make an educated guess off of what this means, and again, I could be completely wrong, my guess would either be PvP, so you create your team or whatever, however many characters, and then you invite someone, or you search for, like, you kind of roll for a random opponent. They confirm the battle, not live PvP, and then you battle it out. Or it could be a co-op dungeon system. And for those of you that have played Marvel Contest of Champions, although it does have its flaws, it's a great game, and they do have co-op dungeons where you can invite one player to play the dungeon with you. You play through the different stages of the dungeon. You choose one path of the dungeon, your friend chooses another path, and then you convene on the last boss. And then as you complete more and more dungeons, as you go deeper, or as you complete dungeons of more difficulty, I'm not sure exactly how it calculates things, but you get score. And then that score that you get at the end of all the dungeons that you complete will unlock a certain number of rewards. So you can imagine that like the world event. Getting 100,000 points in world event will unlock these rewards. Getting 1,000,000 points in world event will unlock all of the rewards. So perhaps this is a co-op danger room with different waves, and as you complete waves, you collect, you increase your score with your teammate, either playing at the same time in the same room or playing at the same time in different danger rooms, and then maybe you convene after 3 or 4 danger rooms in one room for a boss or a mini boss or something like that. And then if you can collect enough points with your teammate in the co-op, then you would unlock the maximum number of rewards for the day or for that attempt or what have you. So those are my ideas. That's my speculation. I am over the moon excited for what this could mean. I love new game modes. I think Marvel Future Fight is like 2 or 3 game modes away from being just chef's kiss all day long. And we'll have to just see how impactful this one is. But, you know, if it's going to be useful for agents in the future, if it's going to be an important addition for, you know, for players, and if it's going to be somewhere that we can hone our skills with uncanny challenges, or whatever, uncanny challengers, I have big expectations, and I'm very excited, and I'm looking forward to it. I'm majorly looking forward to it. Anyways, guys, let me know what you think. I'm falling over my words here. Subscribe if you enjoy the content and you want to support me. And of course, if you like what you see, I hope to see you later today. Take care.